Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby. Luffy kicks ass in the ring, Sanji gets a vision of heaven, and Zoro is about to reclaim his sword. And another awesome episode of One Piece. That's right, my friends, the Land of Wano arc kicks into high gear yet again in a very exciting episode which has some pretty satisfying action scenes, the return of a couple of classic characters, not to mention a few new ones. And no, your eyes do not deceive you. I should have changed the background. That's the Misfit of Demon King Academy. It's another show that I'm reviewing, so make sure and check it out. This was a great episode. Some people might consider it a little slow, but there were 3 different big elements going on in this episode that got me really excited. Let's get to the one that's probably the least impactful and the most obvious, and that's Luffy battling in the sumo ring. Now, in the last episode, he wanted to challenge Queen directly, but of course Queen is not going to do this. He's just going to go through with the initial idea of having all of these goons take on Luffy, which goes about as well as you had thought. Basically, Luffy takes out the first group with his haki, just immediately staring them all down and sending them flying. Yes, the scene looks badass. After that, we start to bring in the other people who are a little stronger, and this is when he has to try just a little bit more, which essentially just results in him kicking the ass out of a lot of guys, doing what he does best, bringing out the jet gatling, the punches and the kicks, taking out all of these guys in just a couple of shots and dodging all of their abilities, much to the shock of Queen, although you can tell that he's getting a little excited over the prospect that he might have found someone really strong who would be a great asset to Kaido and his crew. But Luffy ain't gonna do that. He's just gonna continue to fight back and make fools out of all of these people while defending Hyogoro all at the same time. So, again, it's just basically more of the same of Luffy looking like a badass, and like I said, you can kind of expect that this is the way that it was actually gonna go. The second scene of the episode is where things tend to get a little more interesting, and if you wanted some freaking Nami fan service, well, you're definitely going to get it. So we go back to the big bathhouse, and we get to see that it's actually about to be raided by none other than Basil Hawkins, as well as ex-Drake himself, a character whom we haven't seen in quite some time. Essentially, they're going into the bathhouse trying to see if they can find that reverse crescent moon that's on the ankles of people, because of course they're going to be a part of this big resistance, and immediately Nami, Nico Robin, and Shinobu start freaking out. Shinobu does everything in her power to actually try and hide them, but this doesn't end up working at all, and we get this really hilarious scene where Nami walks out and suddenly her towel just falls to the floor. And predictably, everybody in the room starts freaking out. Man, woman, child, Basil Hawkins, ex-Drake, everybody gets bloody noses, and it's exactly what you'd expect from a Nami scene. But what's really great about this is that we get to learn, of course, that Sanji has actually been hiding in the bathhouse this entire time. It was hinted at a couple of episodes ago, but he's in his Soba mask attire, and even with that, he still manages to just have blood explode from his face. And the image of him covered in his very own nose blood as he finally got to see Nami naked is nothing short of hilarious. And you would almost expect Nami to get really angry at this moment, but it's actually a good thing that Sanji is here, as he's actually able to battle against Basil Hawkins and ex-Drake in a very short scene, which is really awesome. Now, I know it's kind of controversial, the fact that Sanji is now sort of relying on this brand new Germa 66 outfit, but I need to say that I still love the look of it. I loved it when I saw it in the manga version for the first time, and I love seeing it here too. It does sort of take away from the fact that Sanji is one of those characters who didn't need like any sort of special weapon or a devil fruit in order to be a badass, but I just love the look of it so much, and I love the fact that it sort of allows him to sort of honor his family without directly being a part of them. So I really do hope we're going to get to see more of it in the future, because not only is it technologically advanced, allowing him to move very fast, but I think it just enhances his overall look and fighting style altogether. I have a feeling he's probably going to ditch it eventually and go back to the traditional Sanji that we all know and love, but for now, I'm going to continue to enjoy this brand new look, and watching him go up against Drake and Basil in this episode was really satisfying, and he's also able to frickin' fly with this suit, as he's able to save Nami, Nico Robin, and Shinobu as they fly around in the sky, and the image of him flying with all 3 of these girls, like, hooking onto him, is gotta be one of the most surreal images that I've seen from One Piece, and that's saying a lot. So there's one more final scene of the episode which is really damn satisfying. It's the introduction of a brand new character who goes by the name of Gyuki Maru. Now, we go to this brand new place in Wano, which is known as Ringo, which is basically a land which is covered in snow. And we get to see this, like, massive, like, dude who is covered with all of these weapons is battling against this swordsman who's trying to cross a bridge, and he just, of course, defeats him. And this guy actually ended up taking Zoro's sword, Shusui, the sword which originally belonged to Ryuma, a character who is from the land of Wano. And Zoro wants his freaking sword back, and he ends up confronting this massive man, getting ready to go into a battle with him. And any scene with Zoro is cool, but this might be one of the coolest looking Zoro scenes ever, seeing him in this snowy land battling against this massive dude in a samurai-esque setting. It's so tailor-made for Zoro, it's awesome, and it's always great to hear that classic Zoro theme return. Getting to hear that music play while he gets prepared to go into battle looks great. It also helps that, again, the Wano arc has a brand new sort of like art style and animation to it, and I think it only enhances the look of Zoro all the bit more. His hair just seems a little more bright green now, and I think it just really pops against this like beautiful snowy setting. And if the preview for the next episode is any indication, we're gonna get some pretty cool action in the next episode, not just from Zoro battling against Gyuki Maru, but of course more of Luffy throwing down in the big sumo match. So, what's the rundown on this episode of One Piece? I thought that this was a really solid episode of the Wano arc. Not only did it have some great action and even a little bit of comedy moments from the whole bathhouse scene, but the ending of Zoro getting ready to go up against this massive warrior is just awesome. Anything with Zoro is great. I mean, I've already said many times in the past that Zoro is essentially my main, like, favorite character from the show, but finally getting to see him strut his stuff after such a long time of having an absence is really great. I mean, it still feels like we haven't seen Zoro do anything too crazy so far. I mean, he's definitely had his moments in this arc, but this is still, in many ways, only the beginning of what he's going to be doing in Wano, and this is like the first step to showing how capable he truly is. I love the design of Gyuki Maru. Again, it's one of those One Piece designs that's incredibly disproportionate and crazy, but I love the fact that he has so many different types of weapons, which I really hope we're actually going to get to see a lot of them in the next episode. Again, I read the manga version. I know what's going to happen, but this is one of those instances where I really hope they're going to expand a little bit on this fight and give us something a little crazier than what we actually saw in the actual manga version. And either way, it's going to be pretty damned cool. And Gyuki Maru is a really cool character, so I assure you guys that you're going to see something really great. But there were like really three great moments, I think, from the big three characters of One Piece in this episode, being Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro. I mean, Luffy's big hockey moment at the beginning is something we've seen many times before when he knocks out opponents, but it's always really exciting to see it happen, and it's great to see the reactions of characters when they see that he can actually do this. It also helped that it looked really awesome as well. And of course, Sanji as Soba Mask, fighting against Basil and against freaking Drake looked really awesome, and the fact that he was still covered in his nose blood while doing all of it made it even better. And again, if you want a Nami fan service, it's right here for you, buddy. It's all here. Enjoy it. But yeah, it's really that Zoro stuff that's got me most excited from this episode. I thought this one was surprisingly well paced. There was one moment that I think took me out of the experience a little bit, and it was just when Luffy was sort of like remembering what sort of hockey abilities or special attacks he's going to have to use in order to take down Kaido. We get a big flashback sequence of him training with Rayleigh and fighting against Kaido, which, yes, was probably the best looking episode of the Wano Kingdom thus far. But again, I've seen it. I don't need to see another 3-minute clip of him battling against him. It did sort of take away from the episode. Combine that with the fact that the intro is like 2.5 minutes long, and that's a large chunk of the episode, which is essentially taken away from the viewer. But again, I'm not going to hold the episode back because of that. This is the One Piece anime series. It's just the way that they do things. It's just the pacing of the series. But overall, a lot of really important things happen in this episode, and I think that's reason enough to get pretty excited, and if anything, get hyped. I think the next episode is going to be surprisingly cool. It looked like it's going to be pretty well animated as well, so I cannot wait to see that. Basically, anytime Zoro's about to have a fight, it's definitely something worth getting exciting for. So I'm going to give this episode a 4 out of 5. A few moments bring it down, but for the most part, I thought this was a solid experience and another really exciting episode of the Wano arc, giving us some action, some laughs, and of course the promise of a really cool Zoro fight. So let's get excited for that. So if any of you guys did watch the episode, I'd love to get your thoughts on it. You can sound off in the comment section below on what you hope to see in the big battle between Zoro and Gyuki Maru, and of course what you hope to see from the rest of the Wano arc. Let's discuss that and everything that happened in this episode in the comment section below. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more just like this one. If any of you guys are already subscribed, make sure you're hitting that little bell notification icon. It is going to ensure that you see all of my videos as they are released. And make sure to use your big devil fruit powers to hit that like button. Helps out these videos tremendously, and it makes it so that a lot more people can actually see my content. I also want to go ahead and thank again all of my Patreons from my Patreon page. You guys are doing a great job in supporting this channel. Remember, if any of you make a donation through my Patreon, I will review an anime series of your choice. I just recently released my last Patreon review. It is on an anime series called Classroom of the Elite, so please make sure to check that out. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.